You know what, man? I don't think this is a coincidence. I've been saying this for months now. Literally from the start of the season. And everything that's happening right now with Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns is playing out exactly the way I said it would. You can see it plain as day. Through 3 games, he's been kept in the shadows, barely talked about. And every time he even breathes near the field, we hear this same recycled story about development and progress behind the scenes. And I just sit there shaking my head thinking, here it comes. Here comes the spin. Because this is what I've been warning everybody about. I told you this was always going to happen. You could see it coming 2 weeks ago. Then last week it got louder. And now this week, it's right in your face. They're trying to set the stage to take credit for Shedeur Sanders' success. They want to make it sound like they made him. That his growth, his talent, his readiness, all of it came from the Cleveland Browns system. From Kevin Stefanski's coaching. Not from his father. Not from Deion Sanders. That's been the playbook from day one. And I know some of you out there remember me saying this months ago. The Browns never planned to start Shedeur Sanders early, even if he was ready. And believe me, he was ready. This was about control, about ego, about them wanting to put their own stamp on him, so that when the time came, and he finally stepped onto that field and lit it up, they could say, look, this is our doing. This isn't Deion's kid anymore. This is our quarterback. You see what's happening here? They're scrubbing the Deion DNA off him, and here I am, trying to do my best to gather all the information I can for you and share it with you. Please leave your likes and comments, and I would be grateful if you subscribed. Let's continue. And now, as Dillon Gabriel starts to show his ceiling, or rather, starts to hit it, they're prepping the PR machine to roll out the redemption story. Oh, Shedeur wasn't ready before, but now thanks to the Browns system, he's finally come along. Nah, man, stop right there. Shedeur hasn't suddenly transformed over the last few weeks. Nothing's changed with him. The only thing that's changed is the narrative. And if you think I'm exaggerating, go back and listen to what Eric Dickerson said not too long ago. This wasn't some random rumor. This came from a credible source. He said the NFL told certain teams straight up, don't draft Shedeur Sanders. Don't touch him. We're gonna make an example out of him. Think about that. That's not just politics. That's power. That's control. So if the league has the kind of influence to tell the Browns whether or not to draft him, you better believe they've got the power to tell them when to play him. That's how deep this goes. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about image. The NFL wants to show that no player, not even Deion Sanders' son, is bigger than the system. And so Shedeur is being used as a symbol. He's being forced to pay for his father's confidence, for his father's influence, for his father's refusal to bow to the league's old god. And let's be real, for 2 straight years, all we ever heard was how Shedeur was a first-round lock, a top 10 caliber quarterback. You couldn't even find a draft board that didn't have him in that conversation. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel, no disrespect, but his name wasn't even close to that conversation. He wasn't in the first-round talks. He wasn't a top-tier guy. And suddenly, we're supposed to believe he's the better fit for this team? That's not development. That's politics. Now you've got people like Mary Kay Cabot out here saying, oh, Shedeur's making progress behind the scenes. He's developing. He's really coming along. And look, I respect Mary Kay. She's one of the best in the business. But we know what this is. It's narrative control. You're hearing this stuff about elite accuracy, about how he's improving in the film room, mastering the playbook, making progress on articulation. And yeah, all that might be true. But it's being used to set up the illusion that he wasn't already that guy. That he didn't already have those tools when he came in. Let's not forget, this dude has been laser accurate his entire career. He was a surgeon in college. And even if you lined him up against Dillon Gabriel right now in a 7-on-7 red zone drill, 9 times out of 10, Shedeur's coming out on top. Everybody in that locker room knows it, but they won't say it publicly because the organization is controlling the timeline. And it's wild to me, man, because this is the same script every single time. You start hearing little whispers. Oh, he's not ready. Oh, he's a bit behind. He's still adjusting. Then, when the starter starts to struggle, all of a sudden it's, look at how far Shedeur's come. Look how much we've developed him. No, man. That's not development. That's reputation management. That's a PR cover story designed to make the franchise look like the savior, not the suppressor. And honestly, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the kid, to his name, to everything he's worked for. You've got people behind closed doors spreading narratives that he's miles behind, that he's not ready for the big stage, all so that when they finally put him out there, they can claim they built him from scratch. It's wrong. And deep down, everybody in the fan base knows it's wrong. What they're really doing is cleansing him of Deion Sanders' legacy. They're trying to erase that influence so that when Shadeur's success story is told years from now, it'll sound like the NFL, not Deion, shaped him. And I get it. That's how this business works. Teams want control. They want the narrative. They want the credit. But man, it still stings watching it unfold in real time. Because if you really step back and look at this, you'll see a young quarterback who's done everything right, everything he was supposed to do, and yet he's being slow played. For reasons that have nothing to do with his play. But I'm telling you right now, his time is coming. You can feel it. You can see it building like pressure in a storm system. The chatter's getting louder. The fans are starting to ask the questions. And the media is beginning to pivot, just like they always do when they sense a shift. Piece by piece, week by week, the temperature's rising. And before you know it, the Browns won't be able to contain it anymore. And when that moment comes, when Shedeur Sanders finally steps on that field and shows everyone who he really is, and they'll act like it was all part of their master plan, like they knew it all along. But we'll know the truth. We've been here the whole time watching this unfold. So yeah, I'm gonna say it. I told you so. I told you this was going to happen exactly like this. And when he finally takes over that starting job, just remember, this wasn't the NFL's doing. This wasn't Stefanski's masterpiece. This was Shedeur Sanders being Shedeur Sanders. And I've been saying this from the very beginning. Once people start to really see who Dillon Gabriel is, and once the coaches and the media start to see who he is, they're gonna start doing what they always do. They're gonna start trying to take some credit for Shedeur Sanders. Watch how that happens. Because the first thing out of Dan Orlovsky's mouth every time he talks about Shedeur is pre- and post-snap recognition. And what does he call it? All pro level. That's what he said. But here's the thing. The media's job is to frame narratives. That's what they do. So it's no coincidence that right now, all of a sudden, we're seeing this little soft launch of Shedeur Sanders being ready to play. Out of nowhere, Mary Kay's become Shedeur's biggest fan. And the same media that was hyping up Dillon Gabriel is now quietly easing away from him. Because, let's be real, the dude can't push the ball down the field more than 10 yards. And then you've got Kevin Stefanski trying to slow the whole thing down. He gets asked about it, and he says, well, with a young quarterback like Dillon starting, we want to make sure he gets a lot of the reps. It's different than when you've got a veteran like Joe, but we're still giving him plenty of work. And that right there, that's the quote. That's what kicked off all this chatter. Because the question was about why Shedeur Sanders hasn't gotten any first-team reps. Meanwhile, when Dillon Gabriel was backing up Joe Flacco, he got them. Why? Because they were prioritizing his development. And that's where I've been. Beating the same drum for weeks. There's no reason to have confidence in Shedeur being thrown into a Kevin Stefanski. Offense right now. This offense has looked awful. Even with Stefanski's hand-picked guy, the one he supposedly built the system for, a guy with the perfect mental processing, the so-called supercomputer quarterback, the offense still looked flat, predictable, and putrid. So, you want me to believe that same coach is suddenly gonna unlock Shedeur Sanders? Come on, man. And look, I've said it before. I'm fine with taking our time. I'm big on patience, big on development. But a lot of you in my comments, you've been saying, man, let him play. Let him develop. And I get it. When Joe Flacco was there, nobody complained because you had a seasoned vet, a Super Bowl winner, a guy who could mentor and lead. That made sense. But now, you've got two rookie quarterbacks sitting there, and only one of them is getting the reps. That doesn't make sense at all. And here's where the media starts to stir the pot again. They're setting up narratives. They're saying Dillon Gabriel can't throw deep, can't stretch the field. We looked at his numbers. Average depth of target, 6 yards. 6. That's not pushing the ball. That's playing scared. And when asked about it, Dillon says, well, there's always a balance. You want to push it when you can. Take what's given when you can't. You want explosive plays. Maybe a 5-yard pass that turns into 20. Bro, come on. That's him telling you straight up he wants those dink and dunk plays. 5-yard passes, hoping someone else makes it 20. So, when Shedeur eventually gets his shot, remember this moment. Because the criticism that's coming for Shedeur, it's going to be 10 times louder. The microscope is already being cleaned and focused on him. And when that time comes, people are gonna say, oh well, he's got bad timing, or he doesn't have chemistry with Jerry Jeudy. And I'm gonna say, well, maybe if the coach gave him first team reps, that wouldn't be an issue. You can't develop timing, rhythm, and trust from the sideline. Man, and what really frustrates me is that now, suddenly, the media's acting like Shedeur's development has been amazing behind the scenes. Mary Kay is saying, I've been told he's making progress in every way. Oh really? Now he's coming along great? Now he's showing elite accuracy, great pre-snap recognition, all these little things they claimed he didn't have a few weeks ago. They keep saying, he just needs to put the whole package together. Well yeah, that's kind of hard to do when you're not even given the same reps Dylan got. It's like they're rewriting the story before it's even finished. And I said this weeks ago, we've seen this pattern before. Remember when they started slowly rolling out Dylan Gabriel? Remember that soft media rollout? That's exactly what's happening with Shedeur now. He's catching up. He's almost ready. He's understanding the pre-snap stuff. That's all media language. That's the setup. So when Shedeur does finally play well, they can turn around and say, see? We told you he just needed time. And look, man, this isn't some wild conspiracy theory. This is how the Cleveland media operates. It's slow, controlled, and calculated. They leak things, they plant narratives, they build excuses. And when it's time to pivot, they already have their I told you so lined up. And here's the thing. All these so-called experts, the Dan Orlovskis, the Rex Ryans, the Mary Kays, they all said the same thing early on. Shedeur's issue was pre-snap reads. That's what they kept hammering. But go back and look at the scouting reports, the college coaches, the analysts who actually studied him. They said his pre- and post-snap recognition was one of his biggest strengths. Dan Orlovsky literally called it all-pro level. So which is it? You've got head coaches from Texas Tech and North Dakota State saying the same thing, that Shedeur's process-driven, progression-based, understands footwork, timing, and rhythm. Joey McGuire said straight up, if I were an NFL GM, Shedeur would be the first quarterback I'd take in this year's draft. And you mean to tell me all those coaches, all those scouts, all those evaluators were wrong, and only Cleveland's beat writers have it right? Yeah, okay. Listen, if people want to call me a Shedeur Sanders glazer, fine. Call me what you want. I've been watching football for too long to fall for these recycled media narratives. I respect the history of this game. I grew up watching Manning, Eli, Peyton, the greats, and I love seeing young quarterbacks who bring energy, leadership, and vision into this league. Shedeur Sanders represents something special, not just because of who his father is, but because of what he's already shown. The precision, the maturity, the confidence. What he did at Colorado, breaking records, bringing energy, turning that program into a national story, that was real football, real leadership. So yeah, I'm rooting for him. Not blindly, but because I believe he deserves a fair shot. All I'm asking for is fairness. Because right now, what's happening doesn't look fair. And when people start tearing him down, I just want y'all to remember how this story unfolded, how the reps were divided, how the narratives were planted, and how the goalposts keep getting moved. So when Shedeur finally takes that field, don't act surprised if there are a few hiccups. Don't act like that came out of nowhere. We all saw how it was set up. Let me know how you feel down below in the comments, man. Do you think the Browns are handling this the right way? Do you think the media is being fair to Shedeur? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like another slow rollout of a quarterback they're already trying to control the story around. Like the video if you agree, dislike if you don't. Subscribe if you love real football talk. Unfiltered and honest. Oh, I'll see y'all next time, man.